In a year that saw the sport of mixed martial arts shaken to its very foundations, there was always going to be the potential for a star to rise from obscurity. And while Deiveson Figueredo, Kevin Holland, and many others have done their part, no fighter has captivated the MMA world quite like the welterweight and middleweight sensation Khamzat Chimaev. So, with that in mind, let's take a deeper dive into the story behind the Wolf himself, ahead of his inevitable move into title contention in early 2021. Born on the 1st of May 1994, it didn't take long for Boers to find himself on the path to combat sports. At the age of 5, Khamzat was already learning about the basics of freestyle wrestling, progressing rapidly through the Chechen wrestling program with standout performances at the Russian National Championships. Anyone who has watched Chimaev fight will know that his smothering style is one born from a lifetime spent working on the mats. But even as a youngster, Khamzat was not content to compete in just one weight class. Often wrestling against athletes who were bigger than him during his younger life, this future UFC star managed to find dual successes in both the 86 kg and 92 kg divisions, becoming a hotly tipped prospect in the process. At the age of 19, he moved with his family to Sweden as asylum seekers, adopting the country as a second home and achieving a similar level of success on the country's wrestling circuit. As he moved into his early 20s, Khamzat was quickly singled out as one of the country's finest freestyle wrestlers. Winning gold in a number of different major national tournaments, he once again made a point of competing at multiple weight classes. They say that past is prologue, and as far as Chimaev's attitude towards competition was concerned, even from an early age you could see just how hungry to upset the odds this young man was. But of course, as we all know, his passion for competitive action would not end with wrestling. And in the year 2017, at the age of 23, Khamzat began his transition into the multifaceted world of mixed martial arts. Joining with proven top-tier talents like Alexander Gustafsson, David Tamer, and Alir Latifi, Chimaev pledged himself to the blossoming Swedish MMA gym All-Star Training Center in Stockholm. Though he was certainly green and inexperienced at this time, his training partners quickly took note of his hunger, desire, and undeniable aptitude for MMA. Shortly after his arrival on the big stage, the former UFC title challenger Alexander Gustafsson went as far as to call him one of the best fighters he had ever trained with. After amassing a 6-0 record with 6 finishes, mainly under the Brave CF banner, Khamzat answered the call of the UFC on short notice. Replacing the injured Dusko Todorovic, he debuted against the hard-hitting Welshman John Phillips in July of 2020. That willingness to take risks at what was a pivotal point in his career was, of course, the thing that immediately endeared him to both us as fans and UFC President Dana White. On the night, Chimaev thoroughly dominated the veteran Phillips, pounding him down on his way to a second-round Darce choke submission. And while it was certainly an impressive debut, it was his next move that would see him become an unavoidable fixture in our minds. Not content to sit out and wait for a second helping of UFC octagon action, Khamzat called on Dana to find him an opponent as soon as possible. And as we all know, the UFC president could not have been happier to do so, matching him up with top-rated Cage Warriors prospect Rhys McKee just 10 days later. This time around, Chimaev proved that his first impression was no fluke, battering the helpless McKee with the type of strike differential that needed to be seen to be believed. He moved to 2-0 in his new home. With an impossibly dominant first-round TKO victory under his belt, Chimaev had managed to avoid all but one strike landed from his first 2 opponents combined. All of a sudden, Chimaev had become the breakout star of 2020, a truly exciting addition to the UFC roster, one who was once again finding equal successes at both welterweight and middleweight. When he opted to return 8 weeks later to face Gerald Meerschaert, this time with a full fight camp under his belt, fan expectation was through the roof. Thankfully, Khamzat had saved his most destructive win for last. Closing out the year with a brutally precise 17-second knockout punch, he managed to prove to us all that his ground game was only half of the full story. All of a sudden, the world was ready to take notice, ready to peg this man as a threat to the elite of the elite. Now set to take a considerable step up in competition to fight top 3 contender Leon Edwards in early 2021, the story of Khamzat Chimaev is one that is only really in its earliest stages. It has been said that the most exciting period of any given fighter's career is the stage that shows them making their initial ascent from unranked to contender. Questions get answered. hype slowly builds. Whether he can prove himself to be as good as his billing suggests is anyone's guess. But either way, this is one hugely impressive prospect for the promotion and the sport overall. So how do you think Khamzat Chimaev will do once the real tests begin? Do you see a future UFC champion in this raw and unmissable talent? Be sure to let us know in the comments section below before subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Thanks for watching.